Hello, hi.
I love your background.
Thanks. So I'm in the cloud forest in Costa Rica, where I used to live. I wish I were there. With COVID, I'm not able to travel. But my name is Jennifer Manandhar, and you are?
I am Mollie Schaefer-Thompson, and I work with the K through 12 ArtPlay, organizing education for the Alice Stevens Center, AVA, and Arts and Medicine, and also doing ArtPlay kind of stuff. So I see that you work with the School of Medicine. I'd love to hear more about what you do.
Yeah. So I came to UAB in November of 2016, and I originally started off into UAB as a student services coordinator, working with our international academic English and pathway students, and then transitioned over to School of Medicine in July of 2018, and also worked with international education under the Office of the Provost. But in the School of Medicine, I kind of manage our international visiting medical student program. So any final year international student who wants to apply and come to UAB for a 4-week clinical elective, they can come to UAB for up to 4 to 8 weeks and do our clinical electives here at UAB. So I kind of manage all that program. And then on the other side, we also have a medical student enrichment program where we send our medical students, first year and final year medical students, who want to go abroad and do an international clinical elective. So we host students and then send some of our students abroad. And then it kind of multi-components here, but with international education, we also create multidisciplinary programs. We have a U.S. Culture and Medical Education Summer Program, and we invite students to come to UAB, and they take English classes at UAB and take classes in the School of Health Professions to learn diagnostic skills and different things. So we work across campus with other departments on campus to bring students here, and then send students abroad or whatever with different programs. So that's what I do in an ideal world without COVID. But it's definitely been challenging with COVID not being able to welcome students physically here or even send students abroad. But we've had to, I guess, put on our thinking caps as far as like virtual opportunities. So we're still working to see how we can still engage our students, provide them training internationally, but maybe in a virtual component. So how has COVID affected your work or whatever?
I could definitely empathize with figuring out how do we do virtual things. So a lot of my job is organizing art play classes, which typically take place at the Art Play House, and summer camps, and musical theater summer camps, visual art summer camps. We have Vocabby's World, which is a vocabulary enrichment program. We have so much stuff going on. We have free family days where we normally invite people into the house to have like arts experiences. We'll have teaching artists there, typically related to an event with Alice Stevens Center. And so being virtual, I remember in that first week we made a fairly fast pivot to creating content to go online for virtual mini lessons. And so like putting together, how do you create a puppet out of just craft paper and things like that. And then moved on through the summer, had 5 virtual summer camps, 2 visual arts camps, 3 musical theater camps, had teaching artists come in from Broadway because they could tune in virtually. And
that's awesome.
Master classes, which was a really cool thing about being virtual, and now doing virtual classes. We had a girls conference, which is about empowering young women, and that was done virtually. And we're doing our first family day on Halloween, and that's going to be
cool.
fun. And also did the Vocabby's World virtually, which has been really cool. I'm excited about some things we have coming up. So it's been the most fun for me is trying to brainstorm that sort of, okay, geography isn't really an aspect of this, so who do I know that could maybe tune in and help out? And so I feel really thankful for our group of teaching artists too, because they jumped on board to figure this out with us, and also just feel very lucky to be a part of this staff.
That's great.
Yeah.
How do you find artists or whatever?
So I I started this position in November of last year. And so a lot of the teaching artists like had already had very strong relationships with ArtPlay. And then so further than that, I, before this, worked at a small museum up in North Alabama. And so some of my contacts from there, really just kind of scouring the internet, see who do I know that I have worked with that's been a good teaching artist. Also, typically somebody in my team on the ArtPlay team will say, hey, I know this person who'd be really cool for teaching this type of class, and then I set up a meeting and see how it goes. So
that's awesome. No, that's great.
It's kind of a dream job. Whenever I read the job listing, I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. I did not know this job existed.
That's so cool. That's great. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Interrupted you. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I started in November, and so I've technically been working from home longer than I have worked at the ArtPlay house. So.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I was on maternity leave I have a 10-month-old son, and so I was on maternity leave from January to March, and I was back in the office for a week, and then they sent us home. And so I was like, oh wow. So
it's crazy.
Maternity leave. But it's been challenging, but I mean, I guess one of the questions was like, what's the best thing, I guess, about COVID and having extra time, with the family, and my husband's also working from home. So just getting that, I guess, quality time that I'll never have again, probably in the future. So
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. He's crazy. His name is Sujan. My husband is from Nepal, from Kathmandu, Nepal, and so our son's name is Sujan Noel Manandhar, and Sujan in Nepali means good, honest person. So we're hoping he turns into a good, honest little boy. And then Noel for Christmas, he was born December 20th, so he came right before Christmas. So that's a Christmas gift. And my maiden name is Cordo, so I have French roots. So we wanted something French in there for him. So, but he is growing every day and getting more mobile. He's about ready to walk, I think. He crawls everywhere. He stops, where did he go? He's in another room. So, but it's been exciting. It's been good. So.
Sounds amazing.
Okay.
I have a lot of nieces and nephews. And I'm the youngest of 6, so if any of my siblings watch this, I'm sorry. We had a lot of babies born this summer. I think it was 3, maybe 2, one's on the way. And so seeing watching all of the babies grow, and they're a bunch of toddlers, and seeing how all of them are handling COVID and just being very curious about what's around has been really sweet. And,
exactly. Yeah.
I definitely miss being able to see them.
Yeah. And not to jump ahead, but I guess one of the worst parts of COVID is just not being able to see his family. Because he's the first grandchild for their family, and we've only been able to FaceTime or Skype or whatever. And I can tell his mom, my husband's mom, is just aching, trying to reach through the phone to see him. So I can't imagine, how hard it is for her not to be able to, see her first grandchild. But we're hopefully next year, we can either go see them or they can come here and international travel, resumes, and it's safe for everybody. But I guess that would be the worst. That's the hardest part, is not being able to see them in person. So
yeah, I can only imagine that would be very challenging, especially for grandmother and the first one.
I know, her first baby, her first grandchild, So yeah, I try to send as many pictures and videos as possible, and they just sit and watch them, I think, and show everybody around there, this is my grandchild,
Yeah, I was gonna say, so are you documenting every single thing?
I know, yeah, my phone is full of pictures and videos. I get notifications, all the time. You have too many pictures.
No, never, except for maybe for space, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I think, for me, the hardest thing, probably figuring out, I don't know, I feel like it's all been so weird. It's hard to pinpoint one thing that's this.
One thing, yeah.
I think just figuring out figuring out how to best socialize with people, and knowing just scrolling through Facebook or Instagram isn't real connection. So figuring out, okay, I'm going to set up a FaceTime with some of my friends that I haven't seen in a while and just catch up. And I've been writing a lot of letters and
that's awesome.
Sending a lot of those updates like that. And just, it's been fun to have pen pals. One of moving to travel a little bit.
Go ahead.
I have a pen pal. I met this friend, her name is Nikki, and she is originally from Hawaii. And in my last day being in the Czech Republic, I met her at the hostel, and she was like one of my roommates, and we maybe talked for like 30 minutes max, but somehow we connected on Instagram, and now we are writing letters and swapping recipes. She's sending me some traditional Hawaiian recipes. I'm sending her some here's how you make classic biscuits, here's the best sandwich recipe. So that's been one of the fun things about it. But yeah, definitely figuring out the best way to stay connected to people.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So how did you go to the Czech Republic, and how did you get involved with that?
Yeah, I actually won a Fulbright grant to teach English over there. And so I was, nerd.
It's always, that's awesome.
It was amazing. I was placed in a small town about 2.5 hours north of Prague called Turnov. Okay. And I was teaching middle through high school students for a 10-month period. And it was just amazing. So many good stories, because that was right after college. So it was like adulting 101 because I was
you're on your own in a foreign country.
Exactly. I had a mentor, Zuzana Sinhalova, who was amazing and helped me navigate a lot, but there was still some stuff I have to figure out what to do about this phone company, and I have to figure out how to get from point A to point B without knowing any words except for hello. My name is
wow. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. How did you move to Costa Rica?
So, I'm originally from Wyoming. I'll take it back to the beginning, but I was born and raised in Gillette, Wyoming. Very a small town, kind of grew up there, went to high school, graduated. And then I moved to Tennessee. My mother is from North Carolina and Tennessee, so I always say I have Southern roots in me, I guess, somewhere. So I wanted to move down south. I went to Sewanee, the University of the South, and got my degree in Spanish and art. Totally different, kind of very liberal arts education. And so after graduation, I moved to Chicago. I hadn't lived in a big city really all my life, and so I decided to move to Chicago, and I worked at a Latin American art gallery in Chicago. And it was through there, and also through Sewanee, I had heard about the Cloud Forest School in Monteverde, Costa Rica. And so after 2 years in Chicago, I got sick of the big city. I love Chicago, but I didn't really want to live there forever. So I was like, I want to go, maybe go to Latin America. I had studied abroad in Argentina during my undergraduate degree, and so that's when I guess kind of my eyes opened to the world around me or whatever, and I love Latin America, and so I decided to search for jobs. It was like going on idealist.org and searching, where can I go in Latin America, and the Cloud Forest School popped up, and so they had an opening for a development coordinator or fundraiser, glorified fundraiser, I guess, position. So I had a phone interview in Chicago while I was still working in Chicago, and I decided to move to Costa Rica. I hadn't been to Monteverde. I had been to San Jose previously, but not to Monteverde where I moved. And so it was kind of an adventure when I moved there. They ended up, the director of the school picked me up at the airport in Liberia and took me to his house. They had a party or something for the teachers at the school, and I ended up getting dropped off at my house, like a random house in the middle of nowhere or whatever, in the Cloud Forest, and I was the only one staying there, and there was literally, they wrote down instructions for how to, in the morning when it's light, because of course the sun sets around 5 o'clock every night, in the morning when it's light, you come out the door, you take a left, you can get to the internet cafe way back then, we didn't have in the actual house. So I had to go to the internet cafe. But it was hilarious. I remember there were like these little bugs they looked like shrimp, but like miniature shrimp type looking bugs all over the floor of the house when I walked in. And they were like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's okay. They come in the middle of the night and then they just die. But you just sweep them out, every morning. Harmless. I'm like, all right, great. Costa Rica life, So anyway, but I was, aside from all of that, it really was an amazing experience. And I worked at the school to raise money. It's a nonprofit, bilingual, environmentally focused school. So I think we had around 200 or so students then, and it was like pre-K to 11th grade. And so they didn't have a 12th grade for whatever reason, but the students went through 11th grade, and I helped raise, money for scholarships. Probably over 70% of the students receive scholarships because they're local Costa Rican students who attend the school. And then the few American teachers or, international teachers who are there with their kids will enroll in the school as well. So but it was awesome. I mean, yes, rainy season was crazy when it rained 17 days straight, and you didn't see sunlight. But it was really an amazing opportunity for me. So I enjoyed my time there. But yeah, I could talk forever probably.
No, I feel the same way about the Czech Republic, where it's like, okay, how long do you have? We have stories.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about those experiences. I feel like you are turned into the most purest form of yourself, and you just get to accept life in all of its best forms, I feel.
Exactly, yeah. How they're monkeys, all the monkeys and everything, and the nature, but yeah, it's been good.
So I'm looking at my list.
I know, right? I'm sorry. I guess I should start questions.
I made myself a little cheat sheet. Oh, maybe because we're still talking about travel, I would love to hear about the craziest travel mishap you've ever had.
So I was trying to come up with something like for that, because of the question you asked, and the only thing I could think of was something positive that came out of it was one time I was traveling back from Costa Rica, and the airline, I don't know if they overbooked the flight or whatever, and I was worried. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get home. But they ended up finding a seat for me in business class, and I was like, this is awesome. So I fly in business class. I was like, man, do I have to go back to coach? That was the only, I was just really, because I was still, fairly young. I was like, oh man, I'm not going to make it home. But going through all, running to the gate and different things and having to deal with the airlines. But yeah, they had overbooked the flight for whatever reason. And so it ended up being positive though. I got to fly first class or whatever without having to pay for it.
That's an amazing travel mishap story. I love that.
What about you? Do you have a bad memorable or a difficult one?
Probably the one that was like the worst, craziest travel mishap was that in 2017, I was traveling to Haiti for the 4th time to visit the town of Dessau. My school, University of North Alabama, did an alternative breaks program, and you could go visit the town of Dessau and do community service projects. So we built a compost pile, working with local community members, and also distributed water filters and a lot of that type of work. So I had just graduated from college. My now husband and I, Robbie Thompson, were going out with some of our friends to go visit Dessau, because at that point, a lot of the community members felt like friends. And so wanted to get to share that experience with my husband, boyfriend at the time. So we are on this flight, and we are somewhere over Florida, and we suddenly drop like 15,000 feet in altitude. And it we all thought we were going to die. And they had to make an emergency landing in Daytona Beach. And whenever we got out of the plane, we could see where hail had almost busted through the windshield of the flight. And so it was crazy. And so we spent that night in Daytona Beach and flew out the next day. But it was
You
definitely.
got on a plane after that? No, I'm just kidding.
I did, and then I got on a plane a few months later and moved to the Czech Republic by myself.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah, that would scare me.
scary, it was scary. Since then, he kind of has become obsessed with the plane crashing videos, and I'm like, you have to stop, because whenever we
Don't watch those.
yeah, don't watch those. We're gonna be traveling, so you need to stop, because I'm getting on another flight someday, so
Exactly.
hope you're with me.
Oh, wow. Okay. So just to finish up the traveling thing, is there another trip in addition to all these travels that you've told about that's been your best trip, or?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I love them.
So I have been really fortunate to be able to travel a lot. I was homeschooled, and a big part of my education was traveling, both within the states, within the country, and internationally, which was amazing. And I'm really thankful to my parents for that. While living in the Czech Republic, I took advantage of being right smack dab in the middle of Europe, and traveled a lot. Probably the best trip I took was to Krakow, Poland. I don't know what it was about that trip. It was closer to the end of the year, and so some of my cohort and I decided to rent out an Airbnb and poke around, and there was nothing that was specifically astounding about Poland, aside from it being a beautiful country and the town square being amazing. But it was like at that point we were all really close friends, and being there with them was amazing.
Cool. Yeah, for me, I guess I'd say going to Nepal. We were able to go pre-COVID in 2014. I went for the first time with my husband to meet his family and his sister, and it was before the earthquake that following year in April 2015, which was devastating to the country. But thankfully, I was able to go and see, the temples and everything, and how he grew up, in Kathmandu and everything. But we also went to Chitwan National Park in the southern part of Nepal, and we're able to ride an elephant and go canoeing with these alligators right there, whatever, next to you, which is kind of crazy. But we saw rhinos up close, and it was awesome. It was a really good experience. And then just, being able obviously to meet his family in person and not just, virtually or whatever. So we've been back two times since then. So, and when his sister got married and everything. So she got married in February, not last year, but the year before. So we went for her wedding. Yeah, experiencing a Nepali wedding, which is kind of like an Indian wedding, but not on the same level, but almost, was exciting also. It was like 2 weeks of, parties and events and everything. And I never thought I'd say I'd get tired of parties, but just being on the go all the time was kind of crazy, but it was awesome to see that cultural experience and everything. So it was fun. So anyway, world traveling. I guess we have to live through this when we can't go anywhere else.
Yes, I know. I found myself reviewing more all the old photos over and over, and luckily I stay in touch with that group of people, and so we will occasionally, the other day I texted them, I was like, what do y'all do when you get sad? Sometimes I look up real estate just to see what it's like.
Yeah. Just to check, it doesn't hurt.
Never ever could I do that, but it's fun to think.
It is. It's fun to dream,
Well, I hope y'all get to go back.
Yes, I hope so. I hope we can. For sure. So do you practice art? I know you'd ask that question and I'll answer it too, but what kind of art is your medium?
So I graduated with a visual arts degree and a minor in communication, and I piddle a lot. Part of the reason I enjoy being an arts administrator is that I get to see and experience a lot of different art forms. For myself, lately I've been practicing fabric arts like weaving, knitting. I have been doing for a while just because it's a fun sort of nervous habit while watching a Netflix show. You can just kind of be doing it.
Yeah.
And then I do write songs, which I feel like is where I put all of my sad energy, so I can just process it.
That's great. Aww.
What about you?
So I did studio art as well. Yeah, studio art in Spanish. So mainly been painting, drawing. It's funny, as a senior in college, I decided to dabble in monoprints, and because I was doing my work study at the art gallery at Sewanee, and the director had a press downstairs. And so I would spend, extra time like working on that. So it's funny, my final show or, senior exhibition was a lot of monoprints, which I haven't done since, but I really did, enjoy doing that. And what I loved about monoprints is like, even though you had like a template that you used and printed again, each print was unique, like every time you ran it through the press or whatever. So that was my, I guess, medium when I was in school. But then when I moved to Costa Rica, obviously I couldn't take a press or anything large with me. So I did watercolors. So I would take like my little travel watercolor kit. And so, in fact, this picture, it's funny, I don't have it, but this strangler thing in the background in Costa Rica, I actually painted a watercolor picture of it, and it's hanging on my wall in my bedroom. But I did watercolor in Costa Rica. And then when I came back home, I started acrylic again. So I had used acrylic growing up. In high school, my best friend and I, we painted murals in like all of our junior high school, pretty much a lot of the rooms, our art rooms, we painted pictures and murals in there. And then when we were in high school, we got commissioned to paint a big mural in our gymnasium Anyway, we did lots of mural painting when I was in high school. But then my most recent, I guess, paintings have been, I painted Mount Everest because my husband's from Nepal. And then I did a painting of the Grand Canyon. His parents actually came to the U.S. A couple of years ago. They were able to come visit us, and we drove out to the Grand Canyon. So that was another memorable trip. We drove them out to the Grand Canyon, which was awesome, and they loved seeing it. And so I painted a picture of that. And then the latest one also, I guess, was a painting, just a small picture of, for the nursery for my son with his name, and then jungle animals, because that was our theme. So that's the last one I've done. I need to paint more and continue, with that, but occasionally I get the brush out.
Yeah. Right now I feel, are you familiar with Inktober at all?
No. What is that?
It's a fun like internet thing, but it's this organization or a person, I'm not sure the origin of it, but they give 31 prompts for each day, and it's just some people get really into it, like they'll create entire works based on these prompts. But for me, to keep the practice of doing something creative, I really enjoy just kind of drawing the first thing that comes to mind and like maybe an inch big and having just a bunch of those. And so that's a fun, I want to be creative, but I can't dedicate myself to projects
the whole time. I know.
Me out, and so I'm just gonna
I know. It was so funny. It took me a while to paint Mount Everest. My husband's like, it's covered in snow. It's continuously covered in snow. I'm like, stop. I'm going to finish it eventually. But it took me a little while to actually get it done. But yeah, it's hard, especially with a child as well, running around. You don't have much time for personal, personal anything.
Job and all of it, yes. And COVID and everything, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have, whenever you are like sitting down to create something, do you have any sort of like, do you listen to a specific album, or maybe what is your practice, or are you pure silence?
Sometimes I'll have background music going, but just like very like mellow tone kind of probably. I mean, it doesn't have to be classical, but something not like super loud or distracting or whatever. But something kind of just mellow to give me background noise or whatever. I don't necessarily like total silence. What about you? Do you have a special playlist?
I love listening to audiobooks, so I'm super dyslexic, and so to sit down and read a book will put me to sleep, and so so I tend to just listen to books whenever I want to read them, and so I will either listen to a book or a podcast or something like that to kind of be in between.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect.
Great. So I'm looking again back at my cheat sheet list of questions. Ooh, do you have a favorite Birmingham restaurant?
So, Rojo. Have you been to Rojo?
Mm-hmm.
Downtown? Okay. Yes. I also, after graduating from Sewanee, I spent the summer in Spain and I hiked the road to Santiago. And so whenever I go to Rojo, I get like this shrimp paella, I think is my favorite or whatever. But yeah, that just like gives me a taste of Spain, you know, so I do like Rojo, but there are a lot of others. But what about you? Do you have a favorite?
You know, my favorite Birmingham restaurant, I don't think it's actually in Hoover, but it's called
okay.
Yeah.
What?
It's called
What's it called?
Okay. It is a pizza place, and they do wood fire oven pizza, and it's so tasty, and I really love it. And so
that's great. Can't go wrong with pizza wood fire.
Pizza or purple onion, somewhere between those two.
Okay, awesome. That's good. So I guess we've talked about art, but do you have another favorite pastime or hobby or anything?
I really like, which this is more of like a daily practice than necessarily art, but I really do enjoy like the process of cleaning and also cooking. I know that's very basic, but
that's
like
good.
My quarantine hobby was organizing a big space and making it make sense, and then I just like cooking a lot. Sorry, that's kind of scrambled, but those are my two.
No, that's perfect.
I do every day that I enjoy doing.
That's good. I also am a cleaner and everything. I like to, although with a child, once again, that has changed everything. Our house is no longer as immaculately clean as it used to be, but oh well, it's worth it. For me, like I guess I love being out hiking or walking in nature. So I usually we at least go for at least one walk a day in the neighborhood just to get out and get some fresh air. Once again, with COVID, try to get, a breath of fresh air. But would love to go, hiking more. That's what I would love to do. Love to spend time, outdoors. So I guess my hobby.
I love both of those things. I have also taken a lot of walks during COVID, and just started every day. I feel like I'm walking maybe 2 to 5 miles, just pacing around.
That's great.
Nothing too laborious, just definitely getting outside. I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Brooklyn who was pacing around her apartment back in March. She was like, I want to go outside, so I'm just going to walk around.
Yeah. I can't imagine, being stuck in a studio apartment. When my husband first moved here, he got a job at Alabama Power, and we had a studio apartment downtown where he could walk to work. And I was just thinking, I was like, there's no way I could have even survived living there or whatever and not being able to get out. So have a house or whatever. But, are you a morning or night person?
I think I'm naturally a night person, but I've spent the last 2 years trying to become a morning person. Somewhere between. Yeah. How about you?
I'm definitely more of a morning person. I feel like I can be productive if I get up, either go exercise or do something fun in the morning to, get some energy. But by the time it comes around to 9 o'clock or whatever, it's just pathetic. But I'm like, I need to go to bed. But that comes with parenthood too. When the baby sleeps, you sleep. You come to learn, how to do that as well. Take advantage of when the baby's sleeping to sleep. But yeah, mornings are most productive for me. And then coffee or tea or neither?
Coffee for sure. I have to have 2 cups of coffee every morning before I clock in. Otherwise, I'm not functioning at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a coffee person too. Once again, from living in Costa Rica, I was very spoiled with having coffee plantations right there. And I feel like I drank a whole lot of coffee when I was living abroad, and it was so cheap. But yeah, I definitely love my coffee. So,
do you have a favorite either coffee roaster or coffee shop in Birmingham?
I'd have to say, I guess we haven't really gone out coffees. I don't. Yeah. Once again, though, with a child, it's harder to go out. But I don't. Do you have one that you can recommend?
My favorite coffee roast in the whole wide world is Jamaica Me Crazy from O. Henry's, and
okay.
that's like I normally don't like flavored coffee, but something about that is very tasty. So, but whenever I was raised in Birmingham, and when I was in high school, I would study at Octane a lot, which I think is now under a new name, but that was probably my favorite coffee shop, but I don't think it exists anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
You have to try the Making Me Crazy though.
Okay, I will do that. Yeah. I always say, like, if it's a really good coffee, you could drink it black, but if you need cream, no. But sometimes I do add cream to it, but in Costa Rica, I would usually drink the coffee black because it was so good. But
I normally drink coffee black too. Sometimes I do add some, but when I was 14, I remember I started drinking coffee way too young, but somebody made a joke about me drinking more milk than coffee. And so at that point I was like, okay, it's black coffee from here on out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can take anything.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I feel like we've answered most all of our questions. Anything else? This has been great getting to know you.
I would love to talk more about some other time about all of your travel journeys and experiences. It sounds like you've been to some amazing places.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I love traveling, but it's just hard, right now where you can't go anywhere. And you too, your experiences.
Yeah, we will get to go explore some more, hopefully next year. Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully, and that's what we're aiming for. But thanks so much for taking this time.
It's so nice to meet you. Congratulations again on your son, and wishing y'all all the best.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.